welcome to Around the Clock. I'm your host, Yolanda Greaves. On today's show, we have election follow-up and coverage from the election that happened on May 17th here in Ashland. We have our select board update for the meeting that happened on May 18th, and we have a few stops on our Around the Town tour. We'll be spending a little time outside of the library and in the library as we share with you footage of the Garden Club's plant sale and the Once Upon a Book Fest that happened at our library. So stay with us as I bring you Around the Clock. Our first story on today's show is election coverage for the local election that happened on Tuesday, May 17th. It was a sunny day, a little bit chilly, not being very many contested races. When you pulled up to the high school, it was a little bit quiet. We did see Brandy Kinsman, who was running for Select Board, and Kate Jerzik, who was running for Planning Board, as well as Kevin McLean, who was running for Planning Board. We're out there at different points during the day, certainly not what it usually looks like when there is a lot of contested races. There was a change when you walked into the gymnasium and went to vote, because we now have 6 precincts. And this election was run by Cindy Livingston, our new town clerk. So there were some extra tables, there were some extra ballot boxes, some extra places to check in. It did go smoothly. A little disappointing, only 494 people turned out to vote at the town election. And we can say that of the 2 contested races, congratulations to Kate Jerzik for winning her seat on the Planning Board, and congratulations to Ed Berman for winning his seat on the Board of Health. And that wraps up the election coverage that happened on the election here in town on May 17th. We're now going to head into the Select Board update for the meeting that happened on Wednesday, May 18th. As usually that happens the first meeting after an election, there is a board reorganization. We did take things a little bit out of order. We discussed the election results first. We then went into the board reorganization. Brandy Kinsman will be the chair for the coming year. Rob Scherer will be the vice chair for the coming year, and Steve Mitchell will be the clerk. There was a little bit of discussion about how we do it. Do we keep going, clerk, vice chair, chair? The majority voted for that, and that's what we did. We then went into a recap of town meeting. Town meeting happened back on Wednesday, May 4th. There was 11 articles. 9 of them got reviewed and passed, and then 2 articles that were similar regarding the historical demo bylaw changes have been pushed back to the historical committee, and we'll see those on the fall town meeting. We then had an update on the Cadillac paint project. A company is going to be doing a review of existing conditions as we try to move forward and get that park project completed this year. I'm sure you've been driving by and have noticed that the fence has been removed. There's some new signs about no dumping, and you'll see some people out there doing some surveying and reviewing of the past conditions as we prepare for the new park. And some of those information will be going before Stormwater and before the Conservation Commission before we can make those changes. We then got an update on the quiet zone. So at the federal level, they looked at the plans. There was a couple of things that they weren't 100% happy with that we're going to have to revisit. And we are hoping that it will not either 1, add to the price, or 2, push us out. We currently have funding on the Transportation Infrastructure Program, which is funds coming from the federal government to complete the project and to complete the work that is necessary for us to get the quiet zone. We are currently on that list for 2024. We then did a discussion about the request for night work on Route 126. About a month ago at one of our previous select board meetings, we had discussed that the contractor who is working would like to do some night work. We wanted a little bit more information. We still haven't gotten all the information, but we did approve night work on Route 26 for paving. So starting at the end of May, they're going to start pulling up the old road, pulling up the pavement, getting things level, and then they'll be doing paving at night. It's going to be about 6 weeks. We understand it's not going to be comfortable for the residents at night, but by doing the paving at night, there will be less impact on road closures because there won't be as many people trying to drive through the area. So we appreciate everyone's patience. We do need to just look at that long-term picture and what the end result is going to be. Route 126 is going to be amazing with sidewalks and new lights and just a much more comfortable corridor and better for our businesses and for our residents that live on it and near it. We then discussed a request, well, actually we jumped around a little bit. Ashland is United is a group here in Ashland that works on bringing people together and identifying and recognizing different cultures and different habits. They've done some wonderful projects in person. Things have been on a little bit on hold because of COVID. The next project that they're proposing is called the Flag Project. This is an opportunity for residents to have a flag from their country hoisted here in Ashland for a day, and most likely it'll be happening at Stone Park. The process is still being a little bit defined as to who's going to approve it and how they're going to do it. But there is money from Ashland is United to put a poll up and for this project. So be looking and listening, and if you do or don't, follow Ashland is United on either Facebook or Instagram, or go to their website and check them out to get more information. It ties into what our Ashland High School does. If you've ever been in the cafeteria at the high school, there's flags on the wall, and those flags represent students and families that have gone through the Ashland Public Schools either as exchange students or have lived here. So if you're ever, next time you're in the cafeteria, check that out. We then discussed a recent request from the planning board regarding a comprehensive plan. Here in Ashland, as far as I've been involved in select board, so over 10 years, there's been a discussion and longer about a comprehensive plan. There was work done back in 2013 to 16. We got about to 95%, and then some issues came up, and it was put back on the shelf. The current members of the planning board really want to have a comprehensive plan. The select board wants to have a comprehensive plan. So the next step will be the select board and the planning board will get together, have a discussion about what this comprehensive plan process looks like. It's probably about a 2-year plan, 2-year process to make sure there's appropriate community involvement and community input, working on what has already been done, but as well as creating a new comprehensive plan. And then they also have, as part of their proposal, an implementation. You don't want to create a plan and have it sit on a shelf. So that work and discussion is getting started, and you can be looking and paying attention and getting more information about that as the planning board kicks it off and gets it started. We then got to talk about and approve the special patio outdoor dining. The ABCC, which is the state organization that manages liquor licenses, has approved outdoor service and to-go alcohol until April 1st of 2023. So if you're still not comfortable sitting inside, your favorite restaurant has an outdoor place, those will be getting put back up. There's already a few in town that are going on, and to-go alcohol is still approved until April 1st, 2023. If you think both of these things are good and you want them to continue, make sure you reach out to your state reps and state senators to say, look, let's keep to-go alcohol going, or let's keep this outdoor dining going. From there, we went to our consent agenda. We had a couple of minutes to approve and a request from 2 alcohol vendors for the farmers market for some one-day licenses. We then got an update on our priority project updates. Rail Transit District, the YMCA, is currently doing what they call their feasibility study, which means they're reaching out to key people within the community and the communities that they're going to impact to talk about what size Y can we start with, what kind of fundraising can be done. And then they'll be reporting back to their YMCA board, and hopefully in the fall we'll have an understanding as to how they're moving forward with their new YMCA here in Ashland. We discussed the downtown. There is a delay with some of the granite curving for downtown, so things might take a little bit longer. As with many projects, there are supply chain issues that are impacting what we're all trying to do. Speaking of which, we're going to the public safety building. They have some millwork that they're going to be putting in the lobby. There are some issues getting that in. So at this point, the opening for the public safety building has now been pushed to September, unfortunately. The Mendez School, if you drive by and take a look in back of the current Mendez, you can see a lot of steel work going up. Some was delivered a week ago, and it's been moving pretty quickly. On June 13th, there's going to be, it's not a true topping off, but there will be a beam raising ceremony, and it's being done on the 13th so that the students from the Mendez School as well as other places can be involved. The Valentine Project, there was going to be a forum on May 23rd due to some scheduling and other things. That forum has been canceled. We will be selecting a new date and letting the public know about that. The Warren District, Framingham State has started what they call a university club. It's an opportunity, it's a paid membership where you can then use their facilities. They're gonna offer rentals of water vehicles, then you can also use the tennis courts. They have a pickleball set up, which I hear is fun. From there, we went into the town manager report, police chief search update. An offer has been made to Lieutenant Kara Rossi from the Natick Police, and the town manager is working with her to finalize that contract. Once that is done, she will have an official start date. COVID update, as we've seen not only across the state, but here in Ashland, we've had an uptick in numbers. There was an incident at the middle school that brought some numbers up. So, take care of yourself. Make sure you get the second booster if it's time for you to do that. And just stay safe and wash your hands and cover your mouth and nose if necessary. There was a great mental health program at the community center. Mental health, May is Mental Health Month. So if you are having issues with mental health, reach out to our community center and they can give you a hand with that, as well as I know there's a lot of work going on for mental health at our schools. Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Task Force, they've had 3 meetings and they're working on, they've identified what areas that they want to work on from the Suffolk study that was done last summer. So we'll keep getting updates from the town manager on that. YMCA update, we covered that when we did the Rail Transit District. Historical Commission update, so as I said in the quick town meeting recap, our Historical Commission is looking at their demo delay bylaw and how they can tweak that. They've also done some walkthroughs of the 10 to 50 Main Street, and an application has been submitted for 10 to 50 Main Street, and most likely that will get a demo delay of 6 to 9 months. And the last thing regarding 10 to 50 Main Street, check on Facebook and the Ashland website. There are some sessions coming up with Rich Gordon, the owner of 10 to 50 Main Street, letting people know about the plans that he has for that property. And we ended just after 10 o'clock. We did have to vote to go past 10 o'clock, but that wrapped up the meeting for the Select Board from May 18th. Welcome back to Around the Clock. It's time for our Around the Town tour. We have 3 stops. The first was on Saturday morning outside of the library at Montenegro Square. Our garden club, who are a number of people who enjoy flowers and plants and gardening, get together and they pull up plants from their own yards and bring them out to sell. Typically, they've done their sales the Saturday before Mother's Day, but they tied it into the event at the library, and we held it on that Saturday, the 14th. The plant sale, the monies go toward plantings that you see around town and some of the in-ground beds that they also support. Some fun plants, and hopefully you had the opportunity to stop by. The next stop on our Around the Town tour is inside the library, and this was for the Once Upon a Book Fest. This Book Fest is one of those events that had been planned for 2 years but couldn't be held because of COVID. Finally had the opportunity to be held. It was various authors coming in and doing workshops as well as having some of their books for sale and for signature. A big congratulations to Mina Jan from the library, our new director, as well as the Arts Ashland Alliance for being a major sponsor of this event. They also had some other sponsors as well. It was not only for kids, but for kids at heart. So hopefully you had the opportunity to participate. They've already decided that they're going to push it back to March for next year so that maybe more people can participate. They had about 100 people go through.
Satisfied.
From outside of the library and downtown, we're going to head all the way over to Route 126. Congratulations to the Ashland Business Association and to the Metro West Chamber of Commerce for throwing a little bit wet but fun celebration over at the Restore. It was a way to just kick off and remind people that yes, the construction is going on, but there's still a lot of businesses that could use your support, and it was just a lot of fun. Mozzie supplied the food, and Refreshin' Concessions supplied the ice cream and dessert. There was a pickleball court set up that was sponsored by the YMCA. There was some fun music and raffles. Thank you to Peter Weisberger of the YMCA and from the ABA board for being the MC for the event. We also heard from Michael Herbert, our town manager, as well as a few other people. It did get a little drizzly, it did get a little wet, but a number of people came out and just shared and celebrated, saw the businesses, and got information about them. Maybe you were one of them that was there and got a little wet, but still had some fun celebrating what is to come for Route 126.
The fantastic businesses that are working every day here to support folks in the community. So we have some special guests that I'd like to just point out quickly. We have the town manager of Ashland, Michael Herbert. Here, if I see Michael, round of applause. A couple of friends from the select board in Ashland, Brandy Kinsman, Yolanda Greaves are here. Woo! And representing the State Senate President, Karen Spilka, we have Dennis Giambetti. We have quite a few sponsors. I just want to run through those sponsors before we have our host say a few words. But a lot of folks have stepped up to the plate here today to make this experience happen. So we have 126 Self-Storage, Decisions at Every Turn, Residents at Valley Farm, Shaw's, Ashland Early Education, Minucci Auto Body, Habitat for Humanity Restore, Ashland Ale House, a Video Bank, and the Metro West YMCA. So a round of applause for all of our sponsors. I mentioned our host, and this idea came about when we were talking to Kevin McGuire and really looking at a way to bring people down here to Route 126. With the construction happening, letting folks know that businesses are open, that everybody's here working, and that most importantly, that the vision for this area really is bright and the future is incredibly bright. So I'd like to ask Kevin McGuire to come up as our host and say a few words.
Hello, I'd like to thank you all for coming. I'd like to welcome you all to the Habitat Restore. Before I forget though, I want to let you know we are having a big Spring Fling sales event on Saturday. So get a discount duck over there and that goes on top of the discount Saturday. But again, I'd like to thank the ADA, Beth Reynolds, Adam, and everyone else that's gotten together to help support those of us that are trying to run businesses on 126. It's really nice to feel the support and to see such a great turnout. So again, thank you, welcome, and spend a lot of money inside. And at the other businesses.
Thanks, Kevin. 18 years ago when Kathy and I moved to Ashland, one of the things that we were just blown away by was the fact that we had a town manager with a vision, with a strategic vision for this community and this region and this area. And as you look at all of the projects that are happening in town, it's just mind-boggling, the incredible things that are happening and the momentum that this community has. So I'd like to call up our town manager, Michael Herbert.
Hello everyone, how are you?
Good. Yeah!
Awesome. Yeah, good to see everybody here. It's a great turnout tonight. This is just an amazing event. One event I think a lot of us didn't think we would ever get to this point. This has been talked about, this 126 project, for so long. In fact, so long that I hold in my hand a page from the 1988 comprehensive plan that says one of the goals is for 126 to work to upgrade the Route 126 corridor. It should serve as an attractive, business-oriented highway through Ashland. It should help serve the needs of the town's new population areas on the east side of town. It should provide areas for new businesses to open. Well, it's taken us a couple of decades, but we're getting here. We're getting there. And we couldn't have got it to this place without the work of an amazing team. There were so many people that worked on this before I got to town. I can tell you that within my first month, I had a visit from Ed Bates and Steve Greenberg, who were talking about the fact that, you know, if we could just fund the initial design, that MassDOT would go ahead and take care of the rest of the engineering and would possibly fund the project. And so through that, we implemented what's known as the meals tax to fund the engineering and the master planning process for 126, which was spearheaded by our great, awesome Pond Street Working Group, including Sarah Hines, Ed Bates, Yolanda Greaves, and then with Chair Paula Parker leading the way. They just did a remarkable job getting a planning and engineering process done for this. And then after you do all the engineering, you have to do stuff like actually get the funds to build it. And so that's really where I think a lot of the rubber met the road. And we had a lot of advocacy from the Pond Street Working Group. But we also had a special friend here in the MPO, and Dennis Giambetti's back there. He was really instrumental in getting this project going. But I also want to recognize and say that State Senate President Karen Spilka was, I think, wholly responsible for getting the funding for this project through MassDOT. So I can confidently say that we would not be here without her help and her assistance. So we should give her a great round of applause as well. So anyway, that's the whole history of the 126 project and 126 corridor. All I ask is that I know it's a pain when you're in traffic. I know it's tough when you're getting from one place to another. When you reach your limit on your patience, all I ask is just you envision the final product. Envision being able to walk along new sidewalks, past new street trees and decorative lighting, being able to cross over to some of our new businesses like Mozzie, or some of our businesses that have been around for a while like Putz and More, across nice, safe crosswalks. These things really matter in a community, and I hope you can keep all of that in mind as you move forward in your daily lives. So thank you very much.
Good evening, everybody. Starting to rain a little bit, but a little bit of rain is not going to deter or take away from all that we're celebrating and looking forward to as we stand here tonight. Paula Parker and I really got to know each other as this Route 126 project got started. I remember sitting in many charrettes talking about trees and bicycle lanes and sidewalks and roundabout or no roundabout, and how do we take care of the intersection by Dunkin' Donuts, and lots of time, lots of effort. And then, as Michael said, we did our 25% design, and then there were many trips to Boston, to the MPO, just advocating. And some of our last advocacy was actually done about 5 years ago when they were getting ready to push this project out a year. And we had a letter writing campaign, and many of you here, I'm sure, helped participate and just made sure that this project stayed on track, and the state and the federal government said, okay, we're gonna keep doing this. As Michael said, yes, it's a pain in the neck right now, and at our select board meeting last night, we discussed the possibility and the fact that we're gonna let them do some night paving to help speed the project so that they're not closing roads down completely during the day. Thinking about the residents, understanding that the noise at night might be difficult, but the thing that I keep focusing on, and I know Michael said this as well, is think of the end. Think of that end result. When I live over on Prospect Street, I can possibly walk from my house and maybe walk down to Dairy Queen, or come over and walk here to Mozzie, or all the townhouses, all the residents who live on this corridor are going to be able to walk. And as a green community, we try to encourage people to maybe not use their cars so much. So if they can walk and ride safely, that'll be a positive. So be patient, continue to come to the businesses. We've heard that it has been difficult for them. take it a little slower so your card doesn't get as affected, but please keep coming to the businesses, keep supporting, and we'll keep pushing with the state to make sure this stays on time and that they do not keep it going longer than necessary. Anything you want to add, Paula?
Yolanda covered it all. So I look at it, this vision was unbelievable, and I just want to thank all the leadership, the residents who supported this project, Dennis Giambetti, Senator Spilka, Selectwoman Yolanda, Michael Herbert, everybody, all of the residents who participated and really pushed this project forward. And as Yolanda said, we keep the vision, the end vision in mind. And somebody was kind of complaining about the traffic the other day. He said, well, you know, sometimes maybe think of this like a pregnancy. It takes a little bit of pain, but when that baby's born, she's beautiful. That's what we're working for, and we will have a beautiful corridor a lot sooner than it took to get us to where we are now. So thank you, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.
I cannot speak to the pain of labor. I really admit that. However, I was fortunate to run the Boston Marathon this past October, and that's the way I feel. It's a journey. And as I was at the base of Heartbreak Hill, in incredible amounts of pain, I just kept thinking, I'm moving forward. Every step of the way, I'm moving forward. And when you got to that finish line, it just felt so incredibly amazing. And that's what we're headed towards. And as you close your eyes and picture what's coming, not only here, but the new public safety building, a new YMCA in town, just so many great things, the new Mendez School that are happening in this region. It really is incredible. So it's my pleasure at this point in time, I guess I have to call him my nemesis now. Jim Arenaro from the Metro West Chamber and I had a grueling pickleball match. And if you haven't had a chance to try pickleball, our friends at the Y were able to bring a pickleball set down there, so I encourage you to try it. But I'm embarrassed to say that I'm exhausted and I'm sweating from the match that we had. But without further ado, my nemesis, Jimmy G.
Thank you, Peter. And I didn't think it was very nice when you hit me in the knee before the match earlier, but we managed to get through it. So I just wanted to say I moved into Ashland close to 25 years ago and have seen this great evolution and seen the select men and women who kind of led the town over the years. And ultimately here we are today with another great project that we have here in the town of Ashland. I'm so thankful to be an Ashland resident. Whether it's Michael or Beth and the people in Town Hall or the select people who lead our community. It's just really a welcoming and inclusive place to live. And I will say that I commuted from Ashland into Charlestown during the Big Dig for 4 years. So although this is inconvenient, you know, that was certainly a challenge. And the end result, I think, worked out pretty good for the city of Boston. So I'm just glad to see so many people here, so many people that I've gotten to know throughout the years. And I'm happy that the Metro West Chamber partners with the Ashland Business Association on a number of events and really shares some great members like the Restore here in Ashland. So I hope you all enjoy the rest of the night. Try the pickleball, it's a lot of fun. And that's it for me. Thank you.
Thanks, Jim. I've been fortunate to serve on the board now for a little bit of the Ashland Business Association, and one of the things that continues to impress me is the leadership there, and our president, Adam Sachs, how hard he works. He may have a cast on, he may be going through an incredible amount of pain, but he shows up all the time. And we're fortunate to have a great board. A quick round of applause for all the ABA board members who are here. This is Paul there, Valerie's here, Beth's here, Ken's here. Who am I missing? Glenn's here. Yeah. But I'd like to call Adam up to say a few words on behalf of the ABA.
Thank you, Peter. I know this is off a tangent, but any Neil Young fans here? No rain, no rain. That's what we were saying. Live for us, anyway. So thank you, Peter. Thank you to the board. Thank you for Metro West Chamber and all the officials involved in this event, in this vision. Our membership chair, Valerie Gaines, who's done a fabulous job as Valerie. Great job. One of her responsibilities is to reach out to our members and find out what's going on, and she did that with Kevin McGuire, involved in the restore here, and he told her the truth that construction is painful, and they see the vision and it's going to be awesome, but and she reached out to me and said, maybe you should follow up with Kevin. I called Kevin and we had a very frank conversation. I really appreciate the transparency and honesty about what was going on here, and I said let's try to have something to commemorate, to celebrate the vision of what 126 is going to become, and this is sort of what transpired. Does anyone want to guess how many businesses are on Pond Street in Ashland? Any guesses out there? So Valerie Gaines, actually, we have a number of businesses that are part of that register with the town, and we took those that information and we put it into an Excel spreadsheet, and then we siphoned it based upon location and town, and there's about 115 businesses just on this road between Holliston and Framingham, and these businesses are being impacted, but they're resilient, and I would just ask you to take part and reach out to them and do businesses with them. And Ashland Business Association, that's what we do. We support business, and we just would we're involved in the community, and we would love for you to continue to support local businesses. And I appreciate the board and everyone that's involved in this, and thank you to our sponsors, and thank you, Peter, for being a great leader in the events committee, and thank you for all being here. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Well, that wraps up our Around the Town tour. If you have an event that you'd like to share with us, take some footage, take some film, use your camera, use your video, and get it sent in to us and tell us a little bit about it, and we will share it here on Around the Clock.